Welcome to the X's and Argos film session for Game 15, Week 18 of the CFL season. My name is Ben Grant. This week in Toronto, we saw a ton of heat being sent by both defenses. Sometimes it worked, with the Argos getting to Vernon Adams a couple times, the Lions causing McLeod Bethel-Thompson to fumble late in the game. But more times than not, when heat was sent, quarterbacks were able to take advantage. And in the fourth quarter, with the game on the line, neither defensive coordinator called off the Dogs, and they were both punished, with offenses connecting on big go-ahead touchdowns against the Blitz. So let's take a look at how the Argos and the Lions had success, even though heat was being sent. Lions are in cover one here, and they're pressing pretty tight. They didn't actually show a ton of press man against the Argos, which was a little bit unexpected. It's one of the things they're known for, but we've certainly got it here. You can see 11 of the 12 defenders. Purifoy is the only one not in the picture. He's back deep at safety. So these five guys are being sent, and Williams has Ouellette in man. So that's why he's not charging in. He's still sort of part of this group. He's milling around looking for Ouellette, but he's not going to come flying in like the rest of the blitzing defenders. I want to talk about the defensive backs for a second, because when you know a blitz is on as a DB, it changes your coverage mentality. You're now expecting the ball to come out quickly, so it means you can eliminate things like double moves, slow developing routes. And we talked a few weeks ago about how corner routes are great against man coverage. This is actually going to be an even better situation because McLeod Bethel-Thompson is able to extend the play a little bit. And so now that internal clock that is going off in all these DBs' minds isn't really accurate anymore because he's able to extend the play. And so now some of those slower developing routes, they're susceptible to. And so that corner route, which is already a good route against man, is just going to be that much more tempting for McLeod Bethel-Thompson. This is going to, that time that he buys allows Cam Phillips to get a little further into his route. It's also going to change the launch point for Bethel-Thompson. So now this ball is not going to be coming in at the same angle, at the angle that the defender expects it to. This is still a difficult throw, especially with the way that his body is facing. This is not a natural throwing position. He's going the other way, but he's still got the arm strength to be able to make this throw. He drops it in beautifully. And even more importantly, it gives Phillips a chance to go for a run after he makes the catch. And you got to give Phillips full credit for turning upfield, not just making the catch and going out of bounds, as you so often see receivers do. On this play, we're going to see a very similar thing. It's 3rd and 2 this time, though, but the Lions are going to send 5. Again, it looks like the same cover one we just saw, except Purifoy is going to come down and give this sort of a robber look. Bethel-Thompson's got a hard fake to Ouellette, and he's going to bootleg out to his right. This isn't naked. We've got Ambles sealing the contain, or at least he's supposed to be sealing the contain. It turns out not to be a problem because McLeod Bethel-Thompson isn't known as a runner. I know he was a runner in this game, but that's not the reputation he has. And so guys will sometimes cheat against a quarterback like MBT. So we're seeing Hladek, and backers always cheat. They call it tactical, but it is cheating on the contain responsibility. Now, in this spot, let me just pause right here. A normal man would float it out to Speedy Banks because he's got a ton of room. He's wide open. He only needs 2 yards, but that is not how they do things in the city. The 4-1-5, McLeod Bethel-Thompson is looking downfield. So Banks, first of all, let's just talk about Banks for a second. Lee's actually got him in coverage. You see how far Lee is behind him. He kind of got lost in the wash. But Lee's so late that it looks like Rugamba's the guy actually in coverage against Banks, but he's not. He's just trying to do Lee's job here at this point because Ambles was in pass blocking. So MBT, the gunslinger, looking for a little more as he rolls out. He sees his guy, Curly Gittens Jr., on the sideline, 15 yards up, and just makes this beautiful throw. This is not playing it safe. I love it. And again, MBT's helping himself a little bit, just like we saw in the last play, changes the launch point. He's also protecting Banks a little bit here. Even though Banks is the logical guy to throw to, he would get the first down, and it's a much easier catch and a much easier throw, but he's going to take contact from Purifoy, like pretty big contact from Purifoy, who's closing in fast. In the grand scheme of things, This play probably doesn't stand out as a highlight. It does for me, though. I love this play call. I love the design. I still think it's weird to send the two receivers across the formation. I've talked about that before, but I can't argue with its success, and Coach Dinwiddie's really made something of this series of plays where we continue to see this two-man motion. This one's kind of interesting. When I saw this live, I thought this was an RPO. It certainly looks a lot like one, but instead, this is just a really nice sight adjustment from Markeith Ambles. A sight adjustment is when a receiver takes advantage of the space that's vacated by a blitzing player and they adjust their route accordingly, usually running their route into that void left by the blitzing defender. The tricky thing about sight adjustments, because it just sounds like the perfect solution every time to a blitz, but it's tricky because both the receiver and the quarterback need to see it and see it the same way, because you're cutting off your route. Sometimes you're running an entirely different route. And just like any read, you need to be on the same page, receiver and QB. Some plays have built-in sight adjustments, but offensive systems as a whole have sight adjustment rules. And that's what I think we've got here. Williams and Sales are both coming on the blitz. So there's going to be this huge pocket for Ambles. Purifoy has to stay wide, and Rugamba's the only one he's the only other DB out this way. He's coming from depth. So Bethel Thompson is going to see this really early. He doesn't even really carry out the play action fake because he knows this ball has to come out quick. And as soon as he realizes that Ambles is reading the blitz the same way he is, he's into his throwing motion. And like I said before, this is a huge chemistry thing between quarterbacks and receivers. This particular week, with Toronto starting so many guys out of position, MBT relied really heavily on Ambles and Curly Gittins Jr. They got half of his passing attempts. Even though McLeod did spread it around to 8 different guys, it's these two that receive the majority of the targets because they're guys who have been with him all season. He knows what they're going to do. He knows how they're going to read the defense, how they're going to adjust. And that's just a massive trust thing. The Argos aren't typically a team that blitzes a lot, but it was working really well for them for most of the game, likely because BC wasn't really looking for it coming in. Here, Coach Mace is going to send 7, including Royce Mechie from the safety spot, and I love DB blitzes. I want to see more DB blitzes from the Argos. There's a problem with this one, and this play and the lack of success in this play might be the reason we don't see a lot of DB blitzes in the future, which is unfortunate. Toronto is in some sort of skeleton 3-deep coverage, maybe quarter, half. It's hard to tell from these angles. And seeing it live, I didn't read the coverage because I was so excited that the Mechie was coming and blitzing that I just kind of watched his path. So Peters has got flats over here, and Shaq has flats to the near side. But remember, only 5 in coverage, so they have to stick to any intermediate threat. They're going to allow that short completion for the sake of covering those intermediate routes until they can pass it off to the deep defender. So Shaq sees Hatcher, but he's in conflict, so he's got to go with Hollins. The real problem on this play is that they don't get home quickly enough. If you're sending 7, it means there's a free man. There's a defender who's not being blocked. The free man here is Mechie, but the problem is he's 15 yards from the quarterback when the ball snapped. And he's trying to disguise the play. He doesn't want to spill his candies in the lobby. So with 14 seconds on the play clock, he's just hanging back. And then suddenly the snap comes and he's out of position. Now we'll watch this play through to the end. And there's some bad business going on at the end here. Argos DBs, it's just not a good look for them. Edwards has a good angle, but there's this wicked jump cut from Hatcher. I don't think anyone's stopping that jump cut. That's perfectly done. And then Shaq goes for the ball. He almost gets it out, but he doesn't, and he isn't able to make the tackle. And then Priester can't bring him down either. McFadden never even touches him. So you can bet, just looking at the end of this play, Coach Bell, Coach Fields are going to have something to say in film watching this play this week. Luckily, the DBs had a really good game otherwise, and film is never as painful after a win. So that's going to soften the blow a little bit. But yeah, this is a pretty ugly play in a few aspects for the Argos. All right, let's take a look at the winning touchdown, which also came against an aggressive blitz. So time's ticking down here. The Argos need a touchdown. BC is going to dial up cover zero, which is, it's the most exciting play in football. Something's going to happen. Every time you run cover zero, something's happening. Here we've got the opposite problem. So BC commits too early, and they sort of had to because Toronto had been running hurry up on this drive, not letting the play clock wind down. So they commit. And unfortunately, there's no TV footage of this that I can show you because they were showing a replay of a Gittins Jr. catch from a few moments before while this was going on. But I'll walk you through what I saw live. Purifoy walked down into the box, and McLeod Bethel-Thompson realized at that point that it's zero and changed the play. I don't know what play was previously called, but suddenly the middle of the field is open, and Bethel-Thompson's going to call out a concept that sends Tommy Neild on a post route. And he's going to bring Gittins Jr. in to help with protection. The protection call is brilliant because he obviously needs the block from Gittins Jr. here because Rugamba's coming in off the edge and he would be unblocked otherwise. But it also brings Lee right down because Gittins Jr. is his guy in zero. And that's going to open up the middle of the field even more. There's no chance that Lee can actually interfere and get in the way playing someone else's man. Neild has got Sales, and Sales is turned to the outside. Neild wants to keep him that way until he gets to his cut. So he's going to run his route as straight as possible, not giving anything away. And then he digs hard to the inside and is able to separate a little bit as he digs into that post route. MBT with a beautiful ball, Neild with a little bit of a double clutch just to keep Argos fans on the edge of their seat right at the end there. This angle is great, actually. I love this angle because you can see the O-line, how well this play is picked up, and what a great job Gittins Jr. does on Rugamba. It's a three-step drop. They keep that shelf nice and high on the interior. Ouellette with a nice pickup. No one comes close to Bethel-Thompson. He can put all the air under it he needs. He's got time. I don't remember the last Argos TD pass where MBT didn't have to watch the end result from the ground, and this has got to be a really nice feeling for him. He was hit hard so many times in this game, but that's the beauty of a play like this. When you see the ball getting cut in the end zone, everything else that happened for that rest of the game, it goes away. You don't feel the pain when you're celebrating a touchdown like this. This was a thing of beauty. Blitzing with regularity is exciting. I really like it. But when you live by the zero blitz, you die by the zero blitz. And that's always going to be the risk when you dial up pressure in the CFL. I'm all for the excitement, but it's excitement that doesn't come with exposure. Thanks so much for watching this X's and Argos film session. My name is Ben Grant. I will see you next time.